I have said that it's generally thought that competent adult patients have a right to accept or refuse proposed medical treatment. I have qualified that by saying that that assumes the patient has what's called decisional capacity. That is to say, they have the capacity for autonomy and they're able to exercise it. Post and Bluestein in there offer a very helpful description of what it means to have decisional capacity and what we're looking for when we're trying to determine whether or not a patient actually has such decisional capacity. The first thing, of course, is that the patient must be able to understand and process the relevant information, the prognosis, their diagnosis, what they're suffering from, and their prognosis with various treatment options. What are the actual benefits of that treatment? What are the risks associated with it? They must be able to understand that if they are truly able to make an autonomous decision about it. So interesting. There are two sides in the communication process. We've said because we questioned whether it was done in Sarah Monopoly's case that physicians have an obligation to present all the relevant information. But here we're suggesting we also have to make sure that the patient is able to understand and process that information. Understanding and process all that they need to understand to weigh the relative benefits, burdens, and risks associated with a treatment. Beyond that, they need to be able to apply a set of values to their understanding. So they're making a choice about treatment, understanding the implications of their illness and the treatment for it. But they are making that decision from the perspective of a set of very personal values, a personal sense of what their life is about and what gives their lives meaning and purpose. Post and Bluestein says we need to look to make sure in assessing decisional capacity that patients are making a consistent decision across time. So if the patient is constantly wavering, saying one day, well, I think I want the treatment, and the next, no, I don't. That may well reflect that, in fact, they aren't able to understand and process, that they aren't able to consistently apply their own deeply held values to this decision. It may suggest to us that they really don't have decisional capacity. This arriving at a consistent decision across time is interesting in its application to situations where someone faces a devastating illness or injury and then are asked to make important decisions almost immediately thereafter. We haven't had time to see immediately after this devastating news whether they will be consistent in their thinking and in their choosing. So after a devastating illness or injury, is there some period of time we should wait to be able to assess whether the person is making decisions consistently across time? One of the things that is often said about decisional capacity is that it's context specific and it's variable across time and from one context to another. That is to say, a person may have sufficient comprehension and understanding and an ability to process and apply their values when it comes to, let's say, financial decisions. But not have that with regard to healthcare decisions, because those are much more complex. Or make it even more dramatic. A person may be competent to decide what to have for breakfast, but not necessarily about whether they want to be on a respirator or not, or want this particular chemotherapy. And our decisional capacity varies from one time to another. Certainly, it varies across time as we develop with age. I mean, normally it's believed that children, particularly younger children, don't have decisional capacity. They don't have sufficient understanding, possibly, to understanding about the benefits and burdens and risks associated with a particular illness and its treatment. They may not have enough understanding to know what their values are. They may not have developed values that they could apply to decisions about healthcare. So generally, we believe that parents are best placed to make decisions on behalf of their children. But presumably, as they grow into adulthood, they will develop the capacities, develop the understanding and the ability to process information and apply values that makes them truly autonomous. Now, of course, unfortunately, there are some people, because of developmental issues, that may never have a capacity, have decisional capacity or a capacity for autonomy, and we may always, or someone may always, have to be making decisions for them. Of course, sometimes an injury or an illness may cause a temporary loss of capacity. Think of a concussion and a loss of consciousness, an obvious sort of an example, obviously while you're unconscious, but even maybe for some period of time afterwards, after some kind of a head injury, one may not have decisional capacity, though you will regain it across time. And certainly one of the obligations of healthcare professionals in such a context is to, and as a part of their care for us, is to help restore our decisional capacity and to only make the most profound healthcare decisions once we have regained capacity and are able to participate in them. Now, of course, a particularly devastating illness or injury may cause a permanent loss of decisional capacity, in which case the person is no longer able to participate in decisions about their care.